let's continue with the labor unrest in studio, because workers of the Electricity Company of Ghana are demanding a severance package ahead of the planned privatization of ECG under the Millennium Challenge Power Compact Agreement. They say government has every right to continue with the privatization of the company started by the previous government, but they must first pay them their severance package. They quote Section 65, subsection 2 of the Labour Act as the basis for their claim, saying if they are going to be put on secondment for the next 20 years under a new company, then they deserve a severance package with the old company, which is ECG. On Tuesday, workers across the country wore red armbands to demand the payment of the package before the compact agreement comes into full force. The workers have in the past resisted the privatization heavily, but seem to have a change in opinion now, as they now support the move as long as their severance is paid. We have with us in the studio Samuel Wuliapia, chairman of the ECG Accra West Region Senior Staff Union. He's also on the finance board of the TUC. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
So in the first place, you were previously opposed to the idea of privatization of ECG in any form. Now you're saying you can go ahead, but pay us our severance. Why this change?
We have not actually changed our position. We still maintain that going the way of concession is not the right way to go. But government is still going ahead. You had the new patriotic government saying that, well, they have reviewed the conditions and they are now saying that instead of giving the company away on concession for 25 years, they are reviewing it to 20 years. And the previous government was looking at an 80-20 ratio, and this government is looking at 49-51%. So there's just a variation. Even though, and as much as it's welcome, we're thinking that as the best way for us, it really is not to go the way of concession, because this is possible. It can't be done right here in this country. Other companies have done it. We saw well. We gave government options. We even said to government, why don't we have a joint venture arrangement with whichever company is coming in? In that case, we wouldn't have to worry about all these labor issues coming up. But government says no. We still want to go the way of concession. So that's why we're here.
But aren't these variations better? I mean, if the nation owns 49% of the company rather than 20% of the company, shouldn't that, be a better arrangement?
Daniel, as we speak now, nobody knows what the 49 and 51% even entails. The president said it on May Day, but as we speak, there's no document. As to the 51%, is it going to be government owned? Is it going to be Ghanaians? What really does it even mean to us? Nobody's speaking to these issues. And these are things that worry us as workers as well.
So what you are seeking is more clarity on the issue rather than a stopping of the concession.
We raised many concerns. You realize that in a couple of months back, we had issues with the previous government. We had demonstrations and all that. So we were invited to the Flagstaff House. We actually met the Chief of Staff, then Ernest Debra. And then Julius Debra, sorry. And then we put our concerns across. We listed issues. He looked at it and said, no, we can't go ahead with this. We'd have to form a committee with our side, that of media and government, to address all these issues. And as we speak now, they are out of government now, and there's a new government. But we're still not getting that cooperation from government. It looks as if government has made up its mind to go ahead with the concession. So for us as workers, we are saying that if you're going the way of concession, clearly, you're severing relationship with current workers with ECG. So if that is the situation legally, it demands that you pay us off. Legally, and that's what we're seeking.
Is this just not a way of frustrating the concessionaire agreement?
For us, we don't even expect any concession. We don't want the concession. Now we're concerned more about the employee. And he's a major stakeholder in this.
But various assurances have been given that you will receive, you'll still be hired, you're not in any danger whatsoever. What other concern do you have for these employees? Like
you said, they are assurances. And they are just mere assurances, if I should say. Because there's nothing concrete to these things. There's nothing concrete. As we speak now, you will not be you're not going to lose your jobs, you're not going to do this. But what is the agreement? What is on paper? What is physical for us to say that come few years, if things go other way, we can lift this and say, this is the agreement, this is the document. So we can all go by a certain structure. But as we speak now, there's nothing. It's just mere words. And I don't think we'd want to take people by their words. We all know politicians now.
So what would calm the workers of ECG is something structured, concrete, on paper that you can hold governments to?
Of course, yes. In fact, the best would be that this whole concession arrangement is cancelled. The best. But if we're not getting that, we're saying that government should respect the rights of labor, and as the law demands, if you're severing your relationship with us legally, pay us off. Yeah, because the new co, we don't have any agreement, we don't have any arrangement with the new company. So there are a lot of hidden labor issues that we think that if we're given a listening ear by government, and that's one thing that's been, that we just can't understand. Government is not listening. We've made several attempts to speak with the Minister of Energy, and as we speak now, labor has not been given a listening ear by the Minister of Energy.
Right. We'll come to the issue of the law.
Yeah.
And opinions have been given about the law,
Sure.
and we'll delve into that.
Okay.
But I just want us to make this clear.
Okay.
Because you have mentioned that you would have wanted just audience with governments. You would have wanted something that you can hold governments to.
That's
because your ultimate is the welfare of the worker.
That's right.
In the spirit of the welfare of the worker. If governments gave you these assurances they have repeated before verbally on paper, something you could hold them to, would you be in support of this concession?
I still say that we stand by earlier concerns that we are against the concession, but if government, being the owner of the company, plans to still go ahead with it, then so be it. I mean, we're doing all we can to stop it, but if government says this is where I'm going, then let's look at the labor issues. So like you said, if we can put it on paper, it becomes legal, it's binding. And it's not just government putting it on paper. We should agree. Let's sit with labor, let's government meet with labor, which is TUC, of course. And then we trash these things out. And then so in the end, it will be a win-win situation.
Which thing specifically? Would it be the future of the workers? What would it be?
The job security for labor. What happens to people who have served in the company for quite a number of years, 10, 15 years? Now, if you're saying that you're transferring, and I cannot come here and say, Joy FM says, okay, for XY reasons, staff of Joy FM, you're no more staff of Joy FM, go work with XYZ or PKY. You have no relationship with them. You didn't even apply to join that company. Of course, there are reasons why of lots of media houses, you chose Joy FM. You understand? So you can't just bundle all of us and then push us into this. At least there should be some mediation, some sort of, let's talk about it. Give us audience. Listen to the side of the employee. But that is what we're losing out.
Okay, let's come to this issue of severance packages,
Sure.
which I'm sure is one of the things that you would have liked to discuss.
Yeah.
Now, Austin Game, who is a labor expert, is saying that, in his opinion, by his reading of the same sections of the Labor Acts you have read, it is only when you're moving to a new company that this sort of severance package issue comes in. But in a case where there's a concession, it's the same company, but you are changing management, well, because the concessionaire is a management contract mainly. Yeah. In that case, you do not need to pay off severance packages. Okay.
Now let me correct this. The concession is not just a management contract.
Okay.
It's more like, it's legally a sale. It's legally a sale. It's more like a finance lease, so legally a sale. So let's that issue aside. I listened to Austin Game, as somebody we respect so much in the labor industry, and I think that he's an authority on these issues. If I heard him right, he said the timing. I don't know if that's what he said. He said we are more or less putting the cart before the horse, and that it wasn't time for us to be discussing severance. And from the same act, let me quickly read portions of the labor law, the 65. It says, section 65(1), when an employer contemplates the introduction of a major change in production, program, organization, structure, or technology of an undertaking that are likely to entail termination of employment of workers in the undertaking, the employer shall, and then it follows. So clearly it says when an employer contemplates. So when clearly this is what our employer is doing. We cannot wait for the whole deal to go through before we start discussing these things. Clearly there's an intent. Government is contemplating. Government has been talking to these issues. So we can't wait for the whole thing to go through. Now we know we're going on concession, and now we can now start talking about severance. We're talking about it right here, right now. So that if there are any issues, we deal with them quickly. We deal with them quickly before we even get there.
But this is the case where, again, we have said that there's really no job loss in there. Here, in the same reading of what you're saying, you're talking about something that could affect the programming of the company.
Good.
Something that could affect job security.
Major structure, technology-wise, and everything.
Yeah, exactly. These are things to make the company better. I mean, on a basis of a worker in a company, these are things that are going to make the company better, run more efficiently. You're saying that you're not going to be affected. This is the case where you're asking for severance that could run into millions, hundreds of millions of cedis. It could cripple the company to begin with.
I like the fact that they are saying that it's not going to affect workers, but there's nothing concrete. That's all we're saying.
So again, in the presence of something concrete, the severance, you would not need the severance packages? Is that what you're saying?
In this arrangement, and it's happened all over. It's happened in Uganda, it's happened in India, it happened to Tata, it happened in Uganda, in other places. Look, I remember very well when we engaged MIDA, we asked them if they can tell us one success story of which country that went the way of concession and it went smooth. As we speak, in Uganda, there are people still in court, fighting and chasing for their severance. Others had even died. We don't want to get there. Obviously. And in such restructuring, it will definitely affect staff. But then if staffs are going to be affected, what is the way forward? Let's deal with it now. Give us audience. We just want to discuss this. But nobody is listening. That's our problem. I remember very well Kojo Opon Nkrumah, when they were in opposition on one of the news file programs with Samson Ladia Eneni, clearly said that he thinks the opposition then, the government then, was not engaging labor enough on these issues. So we were expecting that now in government, they would engage labor. But here we are. They are not respecting labor, excuse me to say, they are not. And labor is a major stakeholder in this arrangement. You cannot just put labor on the backbench. No.
Samuel Williapia, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Daniel.
Morning. He's the regional chairman for the Senior Staff Union of Accra West Region, ECG. He's also on the finance board of the TUC. Now, we'll take a quick breather, but there's a lot more stories to tell on News Desk. Stay tuned in.